Wealth law number 3. It's all about the meaning. Maybe in its core, this is my favorite wealth law, and maybe one that I believe really is the core of how we get to experience our amazing lives. There are always choices, and life changes the minute we decide to make a different choice. But how do we make those choices? Now, I love this poem by Robert Frost, On the Road Not Taken. It says, "The road diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller. So long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other, as just as fair, and perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for the passing there had worn them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden back. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how ways lead on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in the wood, and I took the one less travelled by. And that has made all the difference." How we choose which path to take moment by moment is how we create our destiny. Decision is the ultimate power. We've all been at crossroads where we've needed to make a choice, but in fact, every minute of every day, we're making 3 micro choices and decisions that shape the choices we make, and therefore shape the destiny, which path we end up and where we end up on our glorious journey called our life. These decisions are determined by where we're focusing. Remember, energy flows where focus goes. So notice what you're focusing on. The decision is determined by the meaning we give it. What does this bit of information we have mean? Is this the end or the beginning? Is it disaster or an opportunity? Is it a punishment or a reward? Is it good or bad? Who knows? Then there's the decisions of what we're going to do when faced with a decision, when we're faced with that choice. Are we going to give up, or are we going to blame? Are we going to stay frozen? Are we going to fight? Are we going to move forward in adventure? Are we going to take action? Are we going to get more information? Are we just going to do nothing? Doing nothing is also a decision. Will we be paralyzed and stay where we are? Will we move back and retreat? Or will we choose to do something new and as a result get a new result? Or at least a new set of information to take and data we can experiment with. Because it's the quality of our decisions that change our lives, and the quality of our lives is based on the meaning we choose to create. Meaning produces emotion, and emotion is the very force of life. This is the fuel of life that drives us. Emotion is energy in motion. So let's really discover the cycles of meaning. Meaning is like a train, and the quality of your life is determined by the meaning you give to a thing. The quality of your life is determined by which train and which track you then get on and where you head. So meaning is like that train. Meaning is the station that we choose to get on, and the emotion that we give, the thing that fuels this, drives us forward and whatever speed we get to go at. The action we take is the track that ultimately takes us to reach a certain destination and get a certain result. Different decisions equal a different life. And if you want a quality of life, a specific quality of life, you need to make quality decisions that align to you getting to experience that specific life. There is so much power in decisions, but most of us are never taught how decisions are formed and how to make decisions that really serve us. At any moment, you can change your whole life, the life of your family, the life of your community, your team. You just need to make new decisions. So if decision is the force that shapes destiny, then what shapes decisions? In any moment, it's your state that governs what we can call your triad. And your state is driven by your own unique model of the world and the path of meaning you give things. So, in our model of the world, we're getting data in the whole time that is coming to us from the outside world, and this gets deleted, distorted, and generalized through our things that we believe around the world, our value systems, our meta programs, our past experiences. All of this data is getting sorted by our amazing things called brains, and in it creates a representation of an event outside of ourselves. Now, the problem isn't that we delete, that we distort, that we generalize this data coming in. That's just it's a very efficient way of being human. We would go mad if we didn't. The problem comes with what we delete, how we distort it, and what we generalize. Because with that, it gives us only a certain set of data and information, and then the result we get gives the meaning we give as a result of this deletion, this distortion, generalization. And this is usually the thing that gives us pain or pleasure. That deletion, that distortion, that generalization creates what we call our own unique model of the world, your picture of the event outside of it. It's never the event itself. It's your unique worldview, and everybody's worldview is completely different. And then through that worldview, we perceive everything back out. And again, we delete, distort, and generalize based on this. Now, understand that if we want to have less pain and a lot more pleasure, less scarcity and a lot more abundance, more joy and wealth and peace of mind, we have to take control of the meaning we give to things, what things mean to us. Are they scary? Are they opportunity? Is somebody attacking you, or are you safe? Given the quality of our lives, based on the meaning create, how do you create the meaning in the very first place? How do we get to this meaning? There are three core things that mold the meaning we give things. And this comes back to that triad, the triad that creates the state. How we are in any moment changes what we feel about something. And so we can get a certain experience, and depending on the state we're in, we can create a different emotion, and then that will create a different set of actions from us. And there are these three things that impact how we receive this. And it all first sits on the bedrock of physiology. Yes, our physical being. It is so important. We experience life through this thing called our body. And it's so easy for us to think that all of our life just happens in our head, our thinking. But it gets impacted by the quality of our lived experience. Now, this is not whether you believe you've got a sexy body, great body, slim body, whatever external judgment. I'm talking about the quality of your breath. Are you hydrated? Are you balanced? Are you free of pain? These are things that can really impact us. If we are off on one side, if our shoulders are slumped, if we're looking down, if we're not breathing properly, if we're dehydrated, and then a set of data comes into us, we will create a very different meaning and therefore a very different decision compared to if we're stable and balanced, we've slept well, we're eating great quality food, so we're nourished, we're well hydrated, we're getting great breath and oxygen into our brain. Now that impacts us. So our physiology, be very aware of how are you coming into the world, and are you resourcing your body in a way that really serves you making great decisions? It all rests on that bedrock, and this is the ecosystem of wealth. It all has to be experienced through yourself. The next part of your state is impacted by focus. What bits of data are you choosing to see? Are you seeing the opportunity? Are you taking and focusing on the slip up, the thing where somebody maybe neglected something? Or are you noticing the things that you're grateful for, what's already in your life, what the opportunity is, what you already have to work on? Are you focusing on the lack and what isn't available, or what is available? This is really important, just starting to notice, what do we focus on? Which bits of data do we make more prevalent? And we can shift our focus by using things like gratitude journals, like taking notes, consciously going, what are my wins in the day, instead of what didn't I do? What did I do? What's available to me, not what's not available. And this can make a massive difference of then impacting those filters that they come in. And the third filter, or the third influencer in the triad of your state, is the language we use. And this is not just the language we use externally, but it's the language we use in our brain. Yes, we're all constantly talking to ourselves, some of us in multiple voices. Yes. What are we saying about an experience? Language has such power because as humans, this is how we anchor in meaning. This is how we create story. Our linguistic ability is a key part of our consciousness. We create words. It's why in transcendental meditation, they'll give somebody a word that has no meaning because then we can't attach emotions and story to it. So notice the language. About you say about yourself, your identity, this experience. Do we use extreme language? Oh, this is terrifying. Or, wow, I notice I'm a little agitated. A very different impact on the words we choose to use. So with this state, we get this data comes in, gets processed through that triad, and through that state, we then create an emotion. Now, our emotions are a chemical cocktail that our body quite literally triggers. It takes all this and it comes from that state and it influences then the actions we take, our behaviors, our actions, because we create a meaning. Good, bad, scary, exciting, opportunity, restriction, possibility, limitation. And this then impacts the results we have. And so when we realize, we literally create our world, not because we've got some magic wand and we're doing mantras, it's because we create our world through the internal meaning we give to things and therefore the results we do. And this is the cycle of agency, action. And so once we go, this is how we create meaning, we then go, well, what is the path that meaning creates? So what is your path of meaning? Start noticing some of the meaning you give to things and the result it takes. Some people's paths of meaning just lead to pain and continuing down journeys that don't serve them. They stay on the path of suffering. They stay on the path that they don't need to be on because either they give it a meaning that, well, I don't have any choice. I'm too old, too young. I rather I'd stay with what I know, the devil I know, rather than stepping onto the path of the unfamiliar freedom, which can feel scary. What is that meaning? Some people's paths, their meaning leads to pleasure and joy and wealth. The problem is that most people haven't a clue as to what's shaping and directing their paths of meaning. So starting off with that physiology, be really clear with that state, your physiology, your focus, your language. We can shift these, and habitually through practices, we can start changing that filter through which experiences are received and therefore the choices and the decisions we make. So once you understand and appreciate your own model of the world and your state, as well as other people's paths and the meaning they create things, we now have the power to anticipate and to adjust rather than just react and feel helpless to the story and the meaning that we create inside of us. So this is the opportunity that is available to each of us in every moment, the opportunity that enables us to either become an awesome leader to our lives, to our money, to our investments, to our families, and therefore create the destiny that we really want. Now, when we speak about destiny, we've spoken about meaning and that filter that goes through, but there are three forces that impact destiny. And the first is the driving force. So we filtered through these triads. Now we get to the three forces of destiny. The first being the driving force. Your driving force is the goals that you choose to set. What is driving you? What are you focusing on? What are you wanting to create? What are you driving towards? What is the station you're getting on and where you're headed? This is what you say you want and what you don't want to experience. You're towards and you're away from motivations. I want to be healthy and strong and fit. I want to have assets that can pay for my lifestyle. I want to be fully present in my relationships with my kids. I want to be conscious and have agency. What are these goals? Then maybe there's more specific goals. So this driving force, but also with it, this is like the target you're heading for. A key part of the driving force is your big why. Why do you want these things? What are you believing? What is your motive? Motive matters deeply. Everything we do for a reason. We believe that as a result of having that, we will get to experience a certain emotion, a certain way of being. Maybe with that, we feel we will be worthy. We will be worthy of love. We'll finally be able to relax. Or as a result of that health, we'll be able to experience more of life. We'll be able to be more awake and present. These are the driving forces behind everything we do. What you select as your driving force significantly impacts every part of your life. So go back and relook at those goals, those motivations, the thing that you say you want. Look at your driving force. How many of those goals are conscious? How many things are we doing because we think we just should in our business, in our wealth life, in order to fit in? How much of that driving force is coming from something inside of you as an expression of your worthiness versus as an attempt to be worthy? At some level, we all do or have these goals to meet 6 primary human needs. These are our needs for certainty and uncertainty. We have these 3 sets of needs, so 6 primary needs that are all paradoxical. We swing from a need to have certainty, but how do I know that that's going to be a result? But we also love variety, uncertainty. We love that, I just don't know, that expectation. This is where we get the dopamine and the serotonin and hits that not knowing. So we all swing between needing certainty, solidity, control, but we love variety and uncertainty. We need those as humans. The second set is a need for connection and belonging. So we need to belong and feel connected. And at a deeper level, let's use the word to feel loved, to love and be loved. This is one of our deepest and most important needs, to be joined in. But we also need, paradoxically, a need to feel unique, significant, different, worthy, worthwhile. So we have what can seem competing needs: a need of connection and a need for separation. We can also call this status. These are just core needs, something that differentiates us, makes us unique and different and special, that stands out. So certainty, uncertainty, love and connection, significant and feeling worthwhile and worthiness and having value. And then the third set is a need for growth, to be growing and learning and expanding, and a need to contribute and know that having us in the world makes a difference, that there's something is better as a result, whether it's in your direct family, your community, the world. So what is really powerful is that we have these basic needs, no matter what, part of our core needs, and we will meet them either in a positive, negative, or in neutral ways. The more we can choose empowered, aligned ways to meet these needs, the more motivation and drive we get to naturally fuel those forward. Many people might get their need for feeling significant by anger, by lashing out, by beating up people, because then they get, look, I'm important. So we each get to meet those needs, but we get to choose how and whether they're going to be ways that are generative for us and align to the life we want or not. So really important to know, anytime we do something that we're actually able to link to meeting 3 or more of these needs simultaneously becomes an addiction. Yes, sometimes addictions can be great. We can just call these habits, ways of being. Many people have got to a point where eating healthily, exercising, they've been able to link to growth, meaning, significance, connection, some of these meanings, loving themselves. And therefore, it just becomes what they must do. Others have been, eating as a way of connection with themselves. They go, stuff it, I'm going to do what I want, can feel significant and different. Then they get a different kind of growth. Yes, tell me about it. When we get that expansion as a result of too many chocolates. My point is, joking aside, when we can then go, when we can associate our big why and a goal we have to how they can bring us certainty and uncertainty, connection and love and significant, growth and contribution, we get more and more of the positive endorphins, dopamine kicked in, and we become addicted to those things. And so we're able to do them easier and easier. And so we get the result we want easier and easier. Now, the second force of destiny is the guiding force. So that was the driving force. Now, your guiding force is the model of the world. This is what we've already covered, how you delete, distort, and generalize the data that comes in and the image you create of an external event. And the driving force tells you what the target is, and your guiding force, being your model of the world, will tell you if you're getting there. It gives you filters and meaning of the result. So it will drive you, and knowing that state, what you focus on, the language you use, your physiology will either get you there faster or not, give you the result of the information, and then that feedback, what I'm doing is working, it's giving me more of the feelings I want, great, I'll keep doing that. Now, these 7 areas, these 7 filters of how we delete, distort, generalize, determine there's your global beliefs, the beliefs about yourself, the beliefs about world situation, about money, wealth, the economy, what's possible, your age, your sex. These are all aspects of our lives. There's our identity, what we believe about ourselves. This is one of our strongest filters and drivers. And you'll do almost anything to be consistent with your identity. So notice who you say you are, what you believe yourself to be. Notice the words you use. I am not. Notice those and make sure that your identity is aligned to what you want in your life. I'm someone who perseveres. I've got grit. I've got tenacity. I follow through. I take data and information and I adjust. I'm flexible. I'm resilient. These also represent our values, our deepest desires, our greatest fears. They're also the rules that we have, that we create for ourselves, what we can and can't do. Someone like me does or doesn't do that. What we allow ourselves to feel, the rules we have in order to feel loved, successful. Whether we can actually enable ourselves to feel what we really want, or have we set our rules, our targets so high that it's impossible to achieve or feel those things. Our rules themselves can be the greatest source of heaven or hell within us. And then there's the vehicles we choose, the energies, the emotions that we choose to drive that train. They're ones that come with a specific situation. Then our meta programs, and these are things like our masculine and feminine energies within inside of us, whether we go big picture to detail, whether we get what we say we want. It all starts with our values. You get what you value, positive and negative. And the conscious mind is the goal setter. It says, this is what I want, but it's the unconscious mind is the goal getter. And the better we can work at directing our unconscious mind through practices, physiology, focus, language, routine, habits, systems, and just being conscious and trying new things, we get to adjust. And understanding how this unconscious mind works and how it creates meaning. And therefore, the decision we make is going to help us get better at creating the goals that we say we want. And the third force of destiny is your fuel of choice. These are your commanding and habitual emotions. This is the fuel you use to drive your model of the world. Will you propel it forward, or will it just combust and freeze into inaction? Now, this is where you feel empowered or disempowered, fearful or frustrated, bored or energized. There's always we believe we need to feel a certain way before we can do certain things. No, what if it is we can create the energies that we need, the emotion need to fuel us? We don't have to be victims or passive and just hope we feel the desire to make love or exercise. We can actually generate these inside of us. And often just by showing up first, it allows the energy to form. Because these are our fuels. They'll either drive you forward or they'll just stop you in your tracks. So if you notice you feel large areas of guilt or shame, get curious about that. What story are you making about that? What meaning are you making to an external event? Because there are certain emotions, guilt, shame, disempowerment, I can't do that, stops us taking action. versus powerful energies of movement. One very powerful emotion of movement is actually to get angry. Now, we don't want to stay there, but don't be afraid of it. Anger has movement. How do we direct it? How do we then get energized? Use those emotions of fuel. So notice where you habitually go. What are your habitual emotions? So our emotions are part of the triad that we spoke about, and it's also be part of our conditioning. We condition our body to do certain emotions. And emotion is everything in our life, our wealth, our time, how we respond when we look at our balance sheet and we see what's happening with our investments, when we look at the money coming in, whatever is going on. This is how we then direct our time, our energy, our focus that creates our lived experience. So now you understand how the model of the world works. It's such a powerful tool for how we think, behave, and act the way we do, and therefore the results we get. So how is it possible to have an empowering model of the world, but still have moments where everything seems to fall apart, where it just feels pointless and useless? So in a moment, the meaning we give to a situation is filtered through that model of the world. But the meaning we give to it is through our triad, to that physiology. So if we're exhausted, if we've been doing a lot of transitions at work, I've recently moved home, packed up stuff, had lots going on in work. I wasn't sleeping that well. I'd let my eating get a bit bad. I wasn't doing great breath work. So the physiology, the base hours have means that when a certain situation comes along, the meaning I'll give to it, what I believe is possible for me, what I can and can't do, will be completely different of a base where I've had solid routine, where I'm feeling safe and certain, energized, where I've got regulation units available to me. So we really have to be aware of, what's going on in our world and have compassion, but also take steps to get the ecosystem of wealth sorted. So how we process that, we can have the greatest model of the world, but on a bad base that's depleted is not going to enable us to make great decisions and choices and take actions, because through that we fire off emotions. These are created by our physiology, our focus, our language, the habitual questions we ask. And these things that we say over and over about ourselves, the things we choose to notice and focus on, write down in our journal. Do you pick on all the negative things, or do you see the possibility? And just our state will make us more aware of one or the other. And then from that, we make a decision. And so be really aware of your molders of meaning, the meaning you give to every experience, moment by moment, because this is how you determine your destiny. A head full of fears has no space for dreams. A head full of doubt, a body full of pain and not energized, it's hard to move forward. Now, our money stories, the stories we make up about what we believe to be true about ourselves, the world, made up from our past, also define our financial destinies. But already, as you see through these laws of wealth that we already covered, you get to create a new story. You create a new meaning, a new perception on it. You get to create a whole new destiny. So remember, you are not your circumstances. You're not your past. You're not what's going on around you right now. You are separate. Your circumstances are just something that is. In the moment, this is what is happening in my life. This is not you. So if right now you're struggling financially, or there's something going on, around your money stuff or your relationships or your business, remember they aren't who you are. Create separation from your identity versus your circumstances. Now you've got perspective. Now you can go back to that fantastic WTF. Wow, that's fascinating. What can I learn from here? What can I choose to be doing differently? You can ask yourself in that moment, is it possible that what I'm experiencing, or I believe I'm experiencing, isn't real? What else could it be? What's the story I'm making up? What's the meaning I'm giving to this about the person, the situation, the event? Is it possible that what I'm believing is just not true? Often we just need the smallest crack to create an opportunity for an opening for a different reality. Often that's all we need to do is shine light on a belief that just might not be true. And then we get to create a whole new destiny, explore and have fun playing with the meaning of things.